Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Apex Racing TV. You're watching the Radical Racing Challenge Strength of Field race. Tonight you're in for a treat as we're visiting Laguna Seca. It really depends on who you ask, but Laguna Seca is one of the more famous or infamous tracks on iRacing. Situated in central California, this track's dry and dusty appearance belies the true nature of the type of racing it can offer. From the high-speed Turn 6 onto the roll straight to the well-known Andretti hairpin and the infamous blind corkscrew, this track provides nothing but excitement corner for corner. I'm joined in the booth by our Radical Racing expert, Sam Fitzpatrick, and Luis Araya is the man behind the broadcast for tonight. Sam, we saw how brutal Road Atlanta was last week. Do you expect a similar race, or do you think the drivers will have an easier time here at Laguna Seca?
I think it's going to be a little bit easier. Like I said at the end of last week, I think we're going to look back at that week one of this season and remember how tricky this SR10 was initially for so many of these very talented drivers. And we're going to look back and think of it as a bit of a clown show. I think every week the drivers get more experience in this car, we're just going to see the performance increase. I think we'll see the series get more and more competitive as well. And So yeah, should be I think a little bit better this week, a little bit less attritional.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar World Champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize, we had a few technical difficulties, but the racing is going on. And out on track, we've got Kane Halliburton setting a blistering lap time of a 1:17.760. I do know there is a bit more lap time in it for some of these drivers, so the second lap might prove a bit faster. Sam, what do you make out from what's happening on track at the moment?
Well, Halliburton just showing the pace they had at Road Atlanta. It was an interesting race at Road Atlanta because Halliburton won by a pretty good margin, but we never really saw him test, and actually the gap wasn't changing too much to some of his rivals, so expect some competitiveness, but Kane is so good in qualifying that he's going to be tricky to beat. Currently qualifies for second clear of Moore Barber, obviously legend of the series. No Lopez, but we've still got Halliburton and Barber, two of the most successful drivers in the SR8 over the last few years since we've been broadcasting this championship. I've also got Cedric Krolich right now, but that is not Cedric Krolich going anywhere near an apex. He was losing quite a bit of time there. And of course, like, might be an improvement for him, it is, but very marginal. I think if it weren't for that, he would have been very close to Najam, just ahead, albeit Najam himself improves quite a bit. We have got a lot of drivers yet to complete a lap time. I think a lot of drivers picking up 1x's, maybe a few making mistakes as well. And so I expect that timing tower to populate a little bit more over the next minute or so as both Barber and Atmaka improve, but no one close to Kane Halliburton right now.
Yeah, no, it's a blistering. He's improved on it to 1:17.481. So I don't think anyone's going to get near that. It's a fairly big spread in the field in terms of times. I mean, if I just look at some of them, I mean, Freckleton definitely way off the pace at the moment. So I suspect there's a few drivers making mistakes in the laps. It's especially difficult going through the Andretti hairpin, that double apex corner. You'll see Banfield just go through it right about now. It's taking a bit of a more inside line on the braking zone, but there you've got the double apex. That getting the exit speed out of that is so tricky. And then also up the roll straight into the corkscrew is probably one of the most difficult parts of this lap to really get consistent, especially that turn onto the roll straight. You really need to nail absolutely. And that is Johnson off the track at the moment. So unfortunate mistake from him there in turn 11. So that's the last turn as well. That's going to add so much insult to injury, losing that entire qualifying lap. Meanwhile,
yeah, he'll struggle to recover from that as Atmaka improves. He is P2 at the moment, who has still got to put in a lap time. We've got Ordires, who's coming around the final corner at the moment. Also Johnson. Johnson's stationary out on circuit, so he's not going to make it. Ordires crosses the line. Is that an improvement? It is. He's up to P6, 0.8 of a second off pole, not far off the second row of the grid, actually. Molitor has got one more corner to go. I don't currently have the sector times open on my live timing, so I'm not sure how good this lap is. We're going to find out, though, in a moment. Looks very neat and tidy through the final corner. Let's see if he can get into the top 10, perhaps. He can. He's up to P8, so huge improvement there. I think the tyres going up to temperature. It does take a while to get the tyres up to temperature. Lap 2, at least by that qualifying, very much the faster of the 2 laps. Still got time in this qualifying session to go, though. We've got a minute more. We haven't got any of the high seeds remaining. And in fact, it's just going to be this man who has decided to stay out, I imagine, in order just to get all the fame, because Moyano is the only man who can complete another lap time. Everyone else has completed their 2 laps or are back in the pits. And so the 16 car should just about make it to the line in time. He's giving us a nice tour of the second half of this Laguna Seca circuit.
Yeah, it's always good to rather stay out on the track a little bit, either get a bit of screen time or a bit of practice in before the race. I've never really understood the drivers that just sit in the pits after they've done their lap. I mean, there's still the opportunity to kind of get the muscles warmed up, get yourself ready for the race. And Moyana is going to come across the line, and we'll see if anything changes for him. He's going to pop up into position 14. So we've got the first half of the field, well, I say half of the field, up to Molotov, under a second from Halliburton, and then the rest of the pack starts spreading out a little bit. So everything shaping up really nicely for a race. Your starting grid, you've got your previous race winner, Kane Halliburton, taking out first position, then Atmaka taking second, sticking fairly close to him. Then we've got Nathan A. Moore in third position, the legendary Aaron Baba in fourth position, Julius Muller in fifth, then Orderes sixth, Najam in seventh, Molotov 8, so he's going to be very happy with that improvement. Barnes 9th, Vico 10, Herb 11, Preston 12, and then rounding out the field, we've got Golfredzik, apologies for mispronouncing that, Moyano, Banfield, Johnson in 16th, Freckleton 17th, then Hesterman, Jenna, Braun, and Cardozo rounding out the field with the same position number as his race number. Interesting one there.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't happen too often, does it? But, well, I guess he's just matched up his seeding, hasn't he? Him and Braun, absolutely. You know, and Jenna as well. None of them set times, though, which is a bit unusual. But, yeah, they could have got themselves a bit further up. As at Matka is the last driver to take the grid.
Yeah, on the timing screens, it still shows him having to join. And he has joined, so we are just waiting for the countdown. The lights are up. We are ready to get going. So 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Lights out, and we are off. And Halliburton has an absolute launcher of a start. Unfortunately, Moore and Atmaka with a slow start, but Baba jumping into second position all the way. And he is going to look for an opportunity there through the Andretti Heaven, staying right on the rear there of Halliburton. This time Halliburton doesn't have the opportunity to run away. I think Atmaka is going to be furious with that start, dropping 2 places. And we have all gotten away fairly safely. I do see Preston jumping to the pits.
I think there was a bit of a pile-up. I heard some scraping just as the leaders pulled away, and we might get a replay of that at some point during the race, because I think there was a fair bit of contact, and I think a few drivers have lost out big time. We've got 9 places gained for Cardozo, who started last. We were talking about him matching and seeding. He's not matching and seeding anymore. He's up to 12th place, gone up half the field. But just by managing to get through all of that mess, I expect a few drives back to the pits. It was a mega start from Baba. I mean, you were saying how good Halliburton's start was, and it absolutely was. But Baba, from the second row of the grid, I mean, he was launching it through. He managed to go through the middle of the 2 cars ahead of him, and Atmaka will be really disappointed that. He actually moved off the line as well, did Atmaka. I just hope he hasn't got a pit stop to come, as Baba completely locking up his front tyres there, ran too wide I think on corner entry, and he has undone that fantastic start. Moore is back ahead of him now. I think Baba's trying to defend this one. Look how close these Radical SR10s are heading into the Andretti hairpin for the second time in this race, and it's pretty much the same as what we saw last time. Halliburton gets in pole and sprinting away in the early stages as the others fight behind.
I think he's definitely counting on the fighting that's happening behind him, but I was definitely very fixated on Baba kind of moving up on the field. And yeah, we had some drama in the back, as you said, that unfortunately lost out on. At the moment, Muller, the fourth car in this, well, almost five-way battle for second position happening as we go onto the Royal Straight. And Muller is starting to break away a little bit. Baba, yet again, under pressure from Atmaka. And they are going to all go streaming into... Oh, and that is so close to contact. Through the corkscrew of all places, Muller is going to back off, and Ordiers is now right on his heels as they head up towards the main straight.
And this final corner is really tricky when you're in a train of cars. Very easy to brake a little bit early, and you can get mugged by a driver who's a bit further back in the pack. You stick down the inside, but yeah, we'll start for Barber, or for a couple of laps of Barber. As we find out what happened today, it was Russell Barnes. We think he is down 6 places from his start. And, oh, you can see the absolute mega launch from the Joe side just behind him. Or Barnes spins around. And the further back you were, the more reaction time you had to avoid that crash. And that is why we've had quite so many instances early on. Not many drivers going back to the pits though, and this Radical SR10, as far as I'm aware at least, is quite brittle. I mean, at least the tyres, it's very easy to break a wheel. The aero not necessarily going to give you a meatball flag. As far as I'm aware, I think we saw a driver lose his rear wing last time out and be able to continue for a few more laps. But yeah, I'm surprised it's not caused more destruction. But yeah, that was just a shame right there involving Russell Barnes. I believe the driver who made contact with him started in P10, which would have been Tapia Vico. So I think it was Tapia Vico trying to get through the middle of those cars, make contact, and the drivers behind were very unlucky to get caught up in it. Oh, as that's a driver wide just ahead, that is Barber trying to get back at Atmaka.
Yeah, and Maka getting the better of that situation. So Baba now in 4th position. And yeah, it's been... Ooh, that's very defensive on the inside from Atmaka. But unfortunately, Baba not really able to capitalize on it as Atmaka is just parked there on the apex. Brilliant racing between the two of them. We've seen quite a few close scrapes between them, so definitely fun to see them on track. Audier's behind them, also kind of in his own spot. Very lonely there, just behind them, and there in the background, a little bit of battling going on as well. But yeah, these cars are fragile. I think they've been fragile since the SR8. But you really need to be careful with them now, because it almost feels like they're carrying so much more speed. And they don't have as good of a cornering ability, so if you hit a wall, you're going to be in a big world of hurt. You see Banfield, they're right on the rear of Kolschizik and keeping as close as possible through the last sector of the track.
Ooh, Braun has had an issue in the background. You can see him go red on our timing tower, and that indicates that he has had a problem, and that is a big shame. He was, I think, 15th place. I'm going to get a replay of exactly what happened. It was at the corkscrew. The driver behind him, I think, is Barnes. Yes, it is. I can spot that finding speed livery from a mile away. And Barnes, who was maybe unlucky to get involved in an incident earlier on, I think that was his fault that time. And then, like a spider in a bath, trying to go up a hill, which is not traversable. It's a shame for him, lost a lot of time.
I mean, where do you go from there? You can't rejoin the track. It's one of the blindest corners on the circuit, so you really need to keep your relatives in check. But even then, just getting the car turned around is a big mission at that point.
It's not as bad as at Sonoma. I don't know if you've seen this. And sorry to go off course for a second here, but at Sonoma you can go wide at that long left-hander down the hill on the extended layout, and you can get behind a barrier and slide down. You're absolutely stuck. I mean, there's absolutely no way out. It's brilliant. And it's not quite as bad as that, but this is like a worthy number 2, I think, because you're absolutely right, Johan. I don't know what he was supposed to do right there.
Yeah, no. But at the moment, thankfully, none of our drivers getting stuck. A 1:17.325 for Halliburton. That's 2/10 faster than Moore. on the same lap. And the rest of the pack all kind of almost in order with their lap times. So Halliburton just having a whale of a time at the moment. You just see him throwing the car there through turn 4, and he is just showing no signs of slowing down, getting the most of his tires. We're yet to see where the tires are going to cause a problem on this track. I know that the curbs are a lot easier than Road Atlanta. I don't know if the track surface is going to be a bit easier on tires, but expect them to start giving problems here at the lap 14-15 mark. Halliburton using all of the curbs there. You can see utter confidence and just not letting up in any kind of way.
Love this graphic, and it's very incremental. Each lap, Halliburton the fastest man on Seca, or at least faster than Moore. Freckleton off the Seca for a moment, but he's alright. He might lose out to Moyane, however. And I've just noticed on Halliburton's car, the side of the car, that little indentation, you did have that with the SR8, but it was a lot smaller. It's a lot nicer now to see these brands. You can see the Vicmotech logo, which we support a lot on Apex Racing TV, of course, broadcast a couple of their series, and many series over the past like 10 years or something. So yes, certainly do support that one, but yes, as a plus point of this SR10 that I had not noticed. Good battle right now though with Freckleton and Moyane. I think Freckleton, after that mistake, backing up Moyane a bit into Cardozo, and also Barnes has caught up to these guys. Remember, Barnes had that spin early on. How Barnes is still going, that car looks fine, and he was in the heart of that crash. I mean, his first hit was bad. I'm surprised he didn't get a second big hit by an oncoming car. So Barnes really doing well for finding speed. Another series that we broadcast events for on Apex Racing TV, and I think he'll be trying to get past these three guys in the remaining 12 laps of this race.
That being said, all of Freckleton, Moyane, and Cardozo, all of them gained quite a few positions in the race. Freckleton with 6, Moyane with 2, and Cardozo with 8 gained positions. That's the highest in the race at the moment. So Barnes is going to have to tackle a few races that are definitely on form at the moment. That being said, he's heading up right behind the rear wing of Cardozo, and we'll see what they have up the main straight. So remember, the draft in these cars is still in effect. So hopefully for Cardozo, that is going to drag him along a bit. He is close enough. Looking at the inside of Moyane, not getting an opportunity there, and Moyane is going to keep ahead of Cardozo, almost side by side as they go through turn 3, and you can just see Barnes very frustrated behind them at the moment, not finding a gap, as this battle in front of him is kind of keeping him up at the moment. You can see he's got the pace, but he doesn't have the space to really make a good overtake as it stands at the moment.
No changes so far in this battle, but maybe Moyane losing the draft slightly might allow opportunities for drivers behind as we cut forwards a little bit to Krolchik racing Herb. Herb is not a driver who we usually see. I feel like I would remember that name. It's an excellent name. And Stefan losing 2/10 of a second on that last lap to Krolchik, and Banfield very much coming with him. Banfield, the car number 4, remember, sure, most of the people watching know, but if you're new to iRacing or don't do official series racing, the number indicating the driver's seeding. So if you're the number 1, then you're the number 1 seed, the highest I-rated driver. If you're the number 21, you're the lowest I-rated driver. So you can see that Banfield is maybe a bit below his expected position, as Freckleton has had a problem down at turn 1. That's a big shame because he was in that nice battle with Moyane, and it seems like actually that battle with Moyane has opened up a bit. I think he's collided with Cardozo here. Cardozo in the 16? No, that's Moyane, sorry, behind him. But Freckleton just locks up the brakes and cannot stop.
Yeah, luckily for him, the barriers are a mile away, but he's giving us some donuts for his trouble. So tricky getting back on the track there. Just your tires are cold. You want to get back on the track quickly, but it's just so dusty. So around and around you go. Someone that we haven't really seen in the race at the moment is Pablo Lopez. So he was on the scene last race around. He's VRS's driver that does all of the example laps for the Radical SR10 on Virtual Racing School. So I'm just going to quickly, they're a big supporter of the of Apex Racing TV. So while this battle goes on, I'll just quickly read out the message for you. So yeah, Virtual Racing School, you can use them to improve your on-track performance with their 50 plus data packs for road and oval racing. They've got setups, track guides, data analysis software, which is very useful, and some one-on-one coaching. So if you're curious about the Radical SR10, there is definitely a guide that I'm using for the SR10 on there. I mean, Pablo is the driver for that. So yeah, definitely go check out Virtual Racing School. We're also using the SDK Gaming overlay. You can use it to add a virtual live HUD to iRacing, showing timing towers, enhanced relative boxes, which we had earlier, minimaps, fuel calculators, and more. You can stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing, broadcast of league and series. SDK Gaming syncs your commentary team's cameras, so you can focus on the driving and your broadcaster on the overlay. And then you can also adjust the team strategy on the fly with the most accurate live timing on iRacing. So while I was reading that out, Herb in a four-way battle here between Najam himself, Koloszik, and Banfield, looking very exciting.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to tell who's the fastest out of these guys, but Banfield looking quite racy. Who's that coming up behind them? That's Muller, who lapped faster than all these guys on that last lap. 2/10 faster than the guys at the rear. Najam was able to pull away slightly with a 18.5. Actually gained by 6/10 on Ordures, but I think that was a mistake from Ordures, so I doubt that gap is going to come down anymore. You can see there, Ordures on the most part has had the pace comfortably on Najam. And on this lap at least, Najam failing to pull away from Herb, so I thought he might be getting himself to security there, but instead he is still under a bit of pressure. It's the closest battle at the moment out on circuit. You can also see on the timing tower more being caught by Atmatka, but these four guys are super close. We could see a move any moment. In fact, Banfield is super close to the back of Krolchik. I think surely a move into the final corner. No, not quite. He's a little bit too far behind, but I'm surprised we haven't seen more overtakes around that part. And then through the final corner, losing about a car's length there, Banfield. So I think it'll happen eventually, but he's got to get it done soon because he can see Muller visibly getting closer. And also there's a move up the inside for the car number 11 of Herb. He had an excellent lap there, catching right up to Najam. But Najam held firm through Andretti, and that's just going to bunch these now 5 drivers even closer.
Yeah, it's actually quite curious. A driver called Herb with a green front to his car. I've got the correct paints enabled, and he is going to look up the inside for turn 5. That's a very dangerous place to do it. Najam not getting the traction that he wants, so he is going to be slowed down, possibly lose 2 places. That is Krosic going through as well, and Najam regaining the position, but now we've got 3 drivers just slipping past him as he tries to keep on the track. All kinds of chaos, and now Herb in front of Najam as well. He slipped past while we were looking away, and all kinds of chaos going up the hill towards the corkscrew. You can see the car still all over the track as they start vying for position yet again.
There were no changes for laps, weren't there? And then all of a sudden we have like 2 corners, and it turns on its head. Najam, apologies, well, it was Krolchik, the big loser out, wasn't it? Dropping back, but Herb getting past Najam, and then Banfield able to get past Muller as well, as Herb making a break for it. He looks quick. Najam keeping behind Banfield crucially, but as Banfield got underneath him, they'll be alongside heading into turn 3. I think Najam is holding on, but every corner they battle is just allowing Herb to pull away. And
it's all going to come down to who's been keeping a good eye on their tires, because at the moment you can see a lot of drivers struggling for traction, struggling in the braking zone as well. You can see the tails of the cars are wagging as they try to get the power down. I think some people are going to start losing out now, especially in this close battle. John, one of those drivers, really struggling to keep a control of the car, but he is doing very well in this lap. You can see Banfield behind him, getting very, very close, giving him a slight tap. And, Banfield almost losing it through the corkscrew. You can see him backing off there, now under pressure from the other two drivers.
Yeah, I think in all of that, Korchak was able to get back past Muller. Muller had to take evasive action. And, yeah, I mean, you could see that going from a little way back. I mean, all over the place was Banfield on the brakes, and he's lost so much time, but just got to stop, desperate to avoid a collision. But this is great racing right now, and this isn't necessarily a circuit that you associate with great racing. I know, there's that classic, that's very close. I can't remember if it was American Le Mans or Can-Am or something, where you had that brilliant GT2 race, which happened right here, and you've had some epic IndyCar races as well, I guess, right here. But generally, on the sim, this is not a great race circuit usually, but this is a fantastic race so far, and very much points to positives in this SR10 machine, which of course is very new to iRacing. Only the second official week we have seen this SR10 be used ever since it took over from the SR8. And yeah, this is very much, if you're watching and you aren't driving the SR10, then absolutely do, because you can have racing like this and it's going to renew, because Kolchak, after that dreadful lap when he lost, I think, 4 positions, he's back on the move again, and he is right on the tail of Banfield. I think they've both got the pace to catch up to Najam, honestly, as now it's a mistake from Kolchak. And just as he gets up ahead of steam, he made a mistake. That was good defending, though I think it was all fair from him, but it has dropped him about half a second in comparison to Banfield ahead.
I was so close to a collision. Very, very good avoidance there. I think that was from, was it from Miller? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, Krotzik again, slow through the Andretti hairpin, but getting the exit. So Miller still has to sit behind him. You can see he's tantalizingly close, but it all comes down to making mistakes. As you said, very difficult track for racing. I remember last time I was going around here was actually in an LMP2 for an IMSA Haggerty race. Talk about something that's not meant to be. But yeah, for a single class, I think it's still fairly good. You just need to really be on it everywhere on the track and kind of look after your car, be very aware of what it's doing at all parts of the track, especially in the braking zone. And Korczak just getting that nice line through the corkscrew. It's very tricky because you're going through the corkscrew and you're literally looking at the tops of the trees to see where you're going. Muller almost looking on the inside. They're not fast enough, too far back, and we might see them do something onto the straight.
Yeah, let's see. Oh no, it's a spin for Najam. Oh dear. Great racing from Najam, and was able to get to the head of that pack, but he just spun up the wheels too much, it seemed, on corner exit, and he goes for a spin. He's down to 11th place, only just ahead of Russell Barnes. I imagine those two might battle by the end. It was from Najam. Seemingly did everything right, and actually didn't really run too wide. I think that's honestly just a case there, Johan, of just applying too much throttle. Easy to say, but, you know, just didn't squeeze it enough as he came onto the front stretch, and it was too much for the car to handle.
Yeah, I think Najam getting a bit too acquainted with the loud way and paying the price for it. But yeah, it's such an easy... Oh, speaking of easy mistakes, Korczak possibly off the road. We can't see him. He's come back over the crest, but that has cost him the position to Muller. Very, very close save there through turn 6.
I think he took too much curb on the inside, and that pushed him out wide. And they are too much curb. Well, basically, you basically can't take any sausage curb there. And he did well, I think. I think he just, you know, straightened up the car, avoided any risk of spinning. He could still catch by, well, already got only 3 laps to go. These races always do race by, as Najam and Barnes, I said they might start battling. They are battling. That's for 11th position. This man Halliburton 3.5 seconds out in the lead. Very similar race to what he had last time. More, to be fair, though, hasn't really been a match. He did take 4 tenths out of Halliburton that last lap, but Halliburton was saying last week how he wasn't pushing most of the race. So I think he is quite comfortable out there. Also, Vico's just got ahead of Jenna. They are a lap down, though. Apologies, they're not a lap down. No, that's they are just crossing the line right now, I think. But yeah, just 2 and a bit more laps for the Jamaican to complete. There is Jenna being overtaken by Vico, who sort of initiated that contact we had on that one. I don't want to blame Vico because we didn't see enough angles of it, but he was the one, I think, trying to go through the middle of 2 cars, made contact, and that caused calamity on lap 1. But most drivers have been able to continue ever since.
I'm just quickly looking at the times, and the only driver that's really been able to match Halliburton in terms of the fastest lap has been Aaron Bobber, if I'm looking correctly. So both of them doing a 1:17.33, which is extremely fast. But yeah, it's weird seeing Bobber getting fast laps like that, but he's a bit further down the field, uncharacteristically so. So it might be that the car is not really to his liking as it is in its current state. That being said, I mean, Baba, an excellent driver, and even being fourth, I mean, this is a strength of field race. These are the best drivers there is. Cardozo and Barnes swapping positions.
Yeah, Barnes going for a spin at the end, hairpin. He's aiming just ahead of Vico, who he collided with right off the start. He was trying to chase down Najab. He's actually lost it fairly late there. Again, didn't take the curb, but it just shows how on edge this SR10 is. Unfortunately for Barnes, didn't lose too much time. But now Jenna getting back ahead of Vico in all of that. So Jenna back up to 14th. That's given Barnes a bit of respite, at least. By the way, thanks to everyone who's tuned in for this. Good viewing figures, about 30 of you watching for most of this race. Mark Fletcher, if you're still watching along. Hope you're having a decent evening. Lily Muller watching as well, and Jakub Szymanski saying how Kane dominated the F4 and now dominating the SR10. So he's just very good. I think he's like 6k iRating or something. I could go watch that. He's going to gain 30 iRating from this, which kind of shows how good his iRating is. That when he's in strength of field race and winning, he only gains 30 iRating. But I guess that's a slight negative of having such a good iRating, as Jenna who was able to get back past Vico, is now all under pressure. Is Vico able to go up the inside to Ryan Jetty? No, he's not.
And it is the last lap. We've taken the white flag, so Halliburton going around for the last time. And very close to the end of the lap as well. I mean, you spoke for... I saw the white flag go up, he spoke for a bit, and then he's already almost around the track. Moore and Admaka battling it out until the very end. You can see the two of them, they're right on one another. Very defensive there on the inside. Is he going to get the exit? So definite win for Halliburton. Moore and Admaka neck and neck all the way to the line. It's going to be 2 and 3. Moore, Admaka. Then Aaron Baba is going to come home in 4th position, a bit further down the road. It does seem like that gap between Moore and Halliburton did close down quite a bit by the end of the race. So possible mistake? I don't know. I didn't see anything. Audier's position 5, Erb position 6, and Willer is going to be in 7th position. I think one of his family members is watching. And then Krolczyk and Banfield in 8th, Krolczyk in 9th, Moyano coming across the line in 10th, and Najam is going to be 11th. Then Cardozo and Barnes, and again very close, it's going to be Jenna and Vico, 14 and 15th, and then Freckleton making his way to the main straight in 16th position, and then we've got Molotov 17th, and then Hesterman is still somewhere on track at the moment. But very solid race for quite a few of the drivers. Admaka, Polczyk and Vico all pushing all the way to the end. That's some superb driving from all involved. And Hesterman coming across the line, persevering, and he is going to bring home the win. The position 18. Apologies for that. But in my mind, it's still actually just finishing the race. I mean, it still takes a lot of mental fortitude, especially in that position at the back. So well done to him.
Yep, the last of our drivers to reach the line. The others retiring, unfortunately, but there's the results. It came down a lot, and Halliburton, I don't think, made a mistake. I think it was a mixture of, like, you know, taunting the other drivers. Kind of let the gap drop a bit. And then Moore, I think you're right, did make a mistake, or maybe it was just inspired on that last lap from at Macca, their tyres were going off, but yeah, Macca was just rapid in those last couple of laps. Bubba, a fair distance back, but not bad, honestly. 6.6 seconds. It's not. He's not a long way off the pace per lap, and like you were saying earlier on, his best lap was very strong, matched Halliburton's best lap. So just needs that consistency. I think does Bubba. He'll get there. Alderas was in 5th place. Erb with a great drive to finish in 6th. Then it was Muller, Banfield, Krolic, and Moyano rounding out the top 10. Najam after that spin still did well, to be fair, in 11th place. Had a Cardolto, Barnes, Jenner, Avico, Freckleton, Molitor. Hesterman was the last of the runners, and the retirees, Braun, Johnson, and Preston. They're going to lose a decent amount of iRacing. Preston, 89 iRacing. Lost the highest iRacing gain will be Mikhail Atmaka. He gained 68 iRacing today. Also, Cardotho, worth giving him a shout out. Last of the seeds, 21st seed. And he managed to finish in 12th place, so he'll get 31 iRacing for his troubles. Albeit, that's not the only reason why the drivers race. You know, they want to have a good time, but it's a nice little bonus. And of course, in this series, important that you get that iRacing up so that you're more likely to get into the strength of field race each week. So particularly for guys like Cardotho, it is important for him to get that iRacing up as high as he possibly can. Now, we usually have some interviews with drivers, but a bit like last week, Johan, they're a little bit shy of chatting to us.
Yeah, I do have something that I can do to keep us busy while we give some chance for the drivers to come back in. I just want to thank one of our sponsors, or the last of our sponsors, and that is Apex Racing Academy. So they work in conjunction with VRS. They give you 29 data packs that you can use on VRS. They also give you setups, track guides, as I said, integration with VRS, and they've got weekly group coaching sessions. So if you're a bit of a fledgling driver like me, that's always a good opportunity to kind of learn from the best. And they've got a few extra goodies there as well. So definitely go check them out, Apex Racing Academy. Also, something I wanted to mention quickly, Sam, was that on that last lap, Halliburton doing a 120.26. That being the slowest time of the top 9 positions for that last lap. So definitely making a mistake there. But as you said, possibly teasing a little bit. I do see a driver that we've got here, and Sam, I'm going to give him over to you because both of you have been in this series probably as long as the other. So let me just drag him in for you. We've got Aaron Baba.
Yes, so Aaron joins us in the commentary box now. Aaron, great to have a chat with you. 4th place start, 4th place finish, and you're by yourself for quite much of that race. So overall, probably that start, I think the height of it, and what a launch it was.
Yes, I had a good start after having a lockup on the second lap of the quali, so that's what you get. Then you start at the back. It was like deja vu, like last week on Road Atlanta, but it's okay. I'm just getting used to the car. I don't want to change a lot of things right now. I just want to leave it like this and then change small details in the braking pressures, and because the car, it's for me, I drove the SR8 for so long that this one I need to adjust a little bit more. But yes, the start was good, but then after the lockup, I had to go back to P4 because I was under attack. And then with this car, if you have like the tire temperatures is on the higher side, then yeah, you're like dead. So I needed a few laps to cool down the tires again, but it's okay. And then I had no more pace, same as Road Atlanta, but it will be fine. I think in the next weeks I will be better.
It's Laguna Seca, of course. So I mean, on TV, I didn't see what the track temperature was, but it was warm. Is that like 45 degrees or something?
Yes,
So
yeah, it starts with 50. Yeah.
So was that a particularly big problem then, trying to keep the pressures down, where you have to adjust your driving style in order to, make sure that it didn't skyrocket too much?
Yeah. You have to with this car and these higher temperatures. You need to adjust the driving style a little, especially after the lockups. But I still have the SR8 braking points in my head. I I only drove that car for so long, so. But yeah, with the temperatures, certainly they don't help. So, but yeah, great drive from Kane and the other guys up front, Nathan and Mikhail. So I tried to hang on until the last lap, but then my tires were really dead.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about how your best lap time was the same as Kane's, but it was just as the race went on that your tires kind of fell away a little bit, which was
Yeah.
a bit of a disappointing element. But yeah, I mean, compared to week 13, I mean, is there anything that has kind of changed your mind about the car, or do you feel quite the same about it now as you did 3 weeks ago?
Oh, I like the car. I always said I like the car. It's a little bit. I need a little bit of adjusting to it, but I like it. It's not like the SR8, but the SR8 in real life is not like the SR8 in iRacing. That was like a Formula One car in terms of grip. But this car, I think it leans much more to the realistic side of the car. I never drove the SR10. I plan to, but I think the guys did a great job with the modeling of the car, and yeah, I'm pretty happy about it.
That's yeah, that's very good to hear, and I think you're absolutely right. How yeah, the SR8 was a bit of a Formula One car, wasn't it? Absolutely like glued to the ground. Next up,
Yes.
we've got Virginia, the full course. That is not a circuit that we visit often. I imagine participation is going to be a bit low, but I don't know about you. I'm looking forward to seeing that race because that's a driver's circuit, one of the most ultimate driver's circuits. It's not really very wide enough for especially great racing necessarily, but in terms of, just a pleasure to drive, I think it's right up there.
I drove like a few laps on that track. I kind of like it to be honest, but I think next week I'll be on vacation, so maybe I miss next week, but I will try to be back for Sebring. I think I will be back for Sebring.
Well, we certainly hope so. Can I ask where on vacation you're planning on going?
I don't know. We'll see. My girlfriend will try to book something last minute, so we'll see. It's not gonna be far. It's gonna be in Europe for sure.
Okay, well, hopefully you have a very good time, Aaron. And is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
You guys, I'm really happy to be back. First of all, and it's nice to see you guys again on the commentating booth, and it's nice to see a few new drivers in the radical community. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As always, great job on the broadcast.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, hope to see you back in a fortnight's time.
Yes, thank you guys. Bye.
Aaron Barber there, your fourth place finisher tonight. We should remember, I think he's won like 2 official series titles, but I think it's just the amount of race wins that he's got. It's really impressive. Is earned legend of the SR8. Johan, I mentioned there Virginia, the next round of the championship. Have you got much experience around Virginia? Because I think I've done maybe like 2 races there, honestly, in my whole iRacing experience, and even then I think we are using the Grand West layouts, which has like the infield section. It takes like 3 minutes to complete in a Porsche Cup. But have you, dabbled it around that circuit at all?
I've actually raced on that full course in 2 different sims. So I've raced the F3 car in a Assetto Corsa, and then I did the LMP2 in the IMSA series for iRacing. It's actually a bit of a hidden gem. It can be a really fun track, but it is so challenging as a driver. There's enough space for overtaking, but that first sector of the race, you've got so many, um, I don't want to say high speed corners, but let's say medium speed corners, and you've got some S's. It's all very challenging. And then you've got one massive straight all the way up the back. Um, it's going to make for some interesting racing, and it's going to really showcase how how the draft acts in these cars. So look forward to a little bit of drafting down that back straight. possible mistakes all over the track. They are very tricky corners. I mean, he had Laguna Seca, there's already difficult corners, but Virginia, I remember just being utterly brutal. Um, so it's going to be a very interesting watch. If you can't race it due to not having the content, I would actually highly recommend you buy it. Otherwise, definitely go watch the race because it's going to be an interesting one, even though the participation might be low.
Yes, it is a circuit that's a lot of people don't own. Even though it's like it was like the third track I think in iRacing. Really do a rescan. It looks dreadful. It absolutely looks horrendous. It's often said, but like some things in iRacing do look like a PSG game. I think people are a bit harsh on that a lot of the time, but Virginia does look terrible. So in terms of eye candy, it's not fantastic, but it's quite nice to have a blast to the past to see graphics from 2007. So yeah, it is certainly worth watching that one. And yeah, I mean, even if you don't take part in that track, we've got some other high participation circuits coming up. Sebring, Red Bull Ring Summit Point is free, so there's no excuse not to try that one. Phillip Island, maybe a lot of you may not own, but Suzuka, Imola, Hockenheim, Alton Park is free, and obviously the Nürburgring as well. So Virginia is a little bit of a wacky one in the schedule, but certainly one we're very pleased to be able to broadcast for next week. And yeah, just give this Radical SR8 a go, even if it's just in a test session. Apologies, SR10. I've still got the SR8 in my mind. Try the SR10. I mean, buy the SR8 as well. I think it's like £2 or $2.95. If you, for new members, I think it'll be free for most members. So yeah, give that a go, but also try the SR10. See what it's like. I know some people aren't a big fan of it. Some people really like it. I think many of the drivers we have in this series really like it, obviously. And it is something a bit different. It's quite a raw race car. And yeah, like Aaron was saying, maybe not quite as fast as the SR8 through the corners, but a bit more realistic. And it is quite cool to compare your lap times to the real life SR10 because iRacing really have, I think, nailed the realism of this machine. But unfortunately, Johan, I don't think anyone else is going to join us.
Yeah, you're kind of just stuck talking to me at the moment. I was just going to say one of the really exciting things about the SR10 is also you can go on YouTube and if you just Google Radical SR10, you can actually see the real life racing drivers take the thing around the track, and it just feels very nice having a piece of the real world. I mean, all of the cars in here are connected to something in the real world, but it's a bit different to to that of, let's say, a GT car where you've got a few different ones of them. The SR10 is very unique. So if you love prototypes, it's definitely the one for you. That being said, I do think that is all that we've got time for at the moment. So yeah, definitely go check out the Radical community, and also you're welcome to come and check us out on our social medias. So I mean, you can check out Apex Racing TV on YouTube. There's a lot of racing going on. We're also on Instagram and Twitter, so definitely do check us out. Um, yeah, Sam, do you think we maybe have time to just take them through what's coming up on Apex Racing TV in the future?
Yes, I am just on the YouTube channel at the minute. I know for certain because I'm commentating on it. Tomorrow we have got the F4 Championship, and that is so much fun. Apex Racing Academy Formula 4 Championship, heat elimination format, 40-odd drivers, really good fun. Watch that one tomorrow evening. Also got the 3.5. That's on quite late, but if you're American, then that's a brilliant time to watch it. And then also coming up, we have got IGP Fun on Sunday, Rick Tech Sports Car Series on Monday night, AOL GT3 Trophy on Tuesday evening, Sim Racing Lab Summer GT3 Cup New Series. GT3s, I guess people will like that. That is on Wednesday evening. And Nordic F3, the final round of the championship, I think, in that on Thursday evening. So it's quite nice on Apex Racing TV. We pretty much have the entire next 10 days booked out. So there's so much racing to come. Yeah, you can't miss it.
Yeah, so definitely go have a look, see what kind of tickles your fancy, and we'll definitely be here broadcasting your favorite racing. From myself and Sam Fitzpatrick and Louise in the production booth, we bid you a good evening and hope you have a lovely weekend full of your favorite racing. Have a good night.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar World Champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.